Shri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 2. Object of writing the work: Incapacity and Boldness in the Undertaking, Hot discussion, conferring significant and prophetic title of Hemadpant-Necessity of a Guru. In the last chapter, the author mentioned in the original Marathi book that he would state the reason that led him to undertake the work, and the persons who are qualified to read the same, and such other points. Now, in this chapter, he starts to tell the same. Object of writing the work. In the first chapter, I described Sai Baba's miracle of checking and destroying the epidemic of cholera by grinding wheat and throwing the flour on the outskirts of the village. I heard other miracles of Sai Baba to my great delight, and this delight burst forth into this poetic work. I also thought that the description of these grand miracles of Sai Baba would be interesting and instructive to his devotees and would remove their all sins, and so I began to write the sacred life and teachings of Sai Baba. The life of the saint is neither logical nor dialectical. It shows us the true and great path. Incapacity and boldness in undertaking the work. Hemadpant thought that he was not fit person to undertake the work. He said, "I do not know the life of my intimate friend, nor do I know my own mind. Then, how can I write the life of the saint or describe the nature of incarnations, which even the Vedas were unable to do? One must be a saint himself before he could know other saints. Then, how can I describe their glory? To write the life of the saint, it is most difficult. One may measure the depth of the water of the seven seas, or enclose the sky with a cloth draping. I knew that this was the most venturous undertaking, which might expose me to ridicule. I therefore invoked Sai Baba's grace. The premier poet saint of Maharashtra, Sri Jnaneshwar Maharaj, has stated that the Lord loves those who write the lives of saints, and the saints also have a peculiar method of getting their work done, which the devotees long for. The saints inspire the work. The devotee becomes only an indirect instrument to achieve the end. For instance, in 1700 Chaka year, the poet Mahipati aspired to write the lives of saints. Saints inspired him and got the work done. So also in 1800 Chaka year, Dasganu's service was accepted. The former wrote four works, that is, Bhakta Vijaya, Santa Vijaya, Bhakta Leelamrit, and Santa Kathamrit, while the later two, Bhakta Leelamrit and Santa Kathamrit, in which the lives of modern saints were described. In chapters 31, 32, and 33 of Bhakta Leelamrit, and in the chapter 57 of Santa Kathamrit, the life and teachings of Sai Baba are very well depicted. These have been separately published in Sai Leela magazine, numbers 11 and 12, volume 17. The readers are advised to read these chapters too. So also, Sai Baba's wonderful Leelas are described in a small decent book named Shri Sai Bhajan Mala by Mrs. Savitribai Raghunath Tendulkar of Bandra. Dasganu Maharaj also has composed the various sweet poems on Sai Baba. A devotee named Amidas Bhavani Mehta has also published some stories of Sri Baba in Gujarati. Some numbers of Sainath Prabha, a magazine published by Dakshin Bhiksha Sanstha of Shirdi, are also published. Then the question of objection comes in. That while so many works regarding Sai Baba are extant, why should this Satcharitra be written and why it is necessary? The answer is plain and simple. The life of Sai Baba is as wide and deep as the infinite ocean. All can dive deep into the same and take out the precious gems of knowledge and bhakti and distribute them to the aspiring public. The stories, parables, and teachings of Sai Baba are very wonderful. They will give peace and happiness to the people who are affected with sorrows and heavily loaded with miseries of this worldly existence, and also bestow knowledge and wisdom, both in the worldly and in spiritual domains. If these teachings of Sai Baba, which are as interesting and instructive as the Vedic lore, which are listened to and meditated upon, the devotees will get what they long for. So I thought that I should call these stories together. That would be my best upasana. This collection would be most delightful to those simple souls whose eyes were not blessed with Sai Baba's darshan. So I set about collecting Sai Baba's teachings and expressions to outcome of his boundless and natural self-realization. It was Sai Baba who inspired me in this matter. In fact, I surrendered my ego at his feet and thought that my path was clear. He would make me quite happy here and in next world. I could not myself ask Sai Baba to give me permission for this work. So I requested Mr. Madhavrao Deshpande alias Shama, Baba's most intimate devotee, to speak to him for me. He pleaded for my cause and said, Sai Baba, that this Anna Sahib wishes to write your biography. Don't say that you are poor begging fakir and there is no necessity to write it. But if you agree and help him, he will write, or rather, your feet grace will accomplish the work. Without your consent and blessing, nothing can be done successfully. When Sai Baba heard this request, he was moved and blessed me by giving me his udi, that is sacred ashes, and placing his boon bestowing hand on my head, and said, let him make a collection of stories and experiences. Keep the notes and memos. I will help him. He is only an outward instrument. I should write myself my autobiography and satisfy the wishes of my devotees. He should get rid of his ego and place it on my feet. I serve him in his house with all possible ways. When his ego is completely annihilated and there is left no trace of it, myself shall enter into him and shall myself write my own life. Learning my stories and teachings will create faith in devotees' heart and they will easily get self-realization and bliss. Let there be no insistence on establishing one's own view, no attempt to refute others' opinions, no discussion of pros and cons of any subject. The word discussion reminded me in my mind of my promise to explain the story of my getting the title Hemadpant, and now I begin to relate the same. I was on close friendly terms with Kaka Sahib Dikshit and Nana Sahib Chandorkar. They pressed me to go to Shirdi and have Baba's darshan, and I promised them to do so. But something in interval turned up, which prevented me from going to Shirdi. The son of friend of mine at Lonavala fell ill. My friend tried all possible means, physical and spiritual, but the fever would not abate. At length he got his guru to sit by the bedside of his son. But this too was of no avail. Hearing this, I thought, what was the utility of a guru if he could not save my friend's son? If the guru can't do anything for us, why should I go to Shirdi at all? Thinking in this way, I postponed my Shirdi trip. But the inevitable must happen, and it happened in my case as follows. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar, who was a Prant officer, was going on a tour to Bassein. From Tana, he came to Dadar and was waiting for the train bound for Bassein. In the meanwhile, a Bandra local turned up. He sat in it and came to Bandra. He took me to task for putting off my Shirdi trip. Nana's argument for my Shirdi trip was convincing and delightful, and so I decided to start for Shirdi at the same night. I packed up all my luggage and started for Shirdi. I planned to go to Dadar and there to catch a train to Manmad, and so booked myself for Dadar and sat in the train. While the train was about to start, a Mohammadi came hastily to my compartment and, seeing all my paraphernalia, asked me where I was bound to. I told him my plan. He then suggested that I should straight go to Boribandar and not get down in Dadar. The Manmad mail will not stop at Dadar. If this little miracle or Leela had not happened, I would not have reached Shirdi next day, as settled. As fortune favored me, I reached Shirdi next day before 9 or 10 am. Mr. Bhau Sahib Kaka Dikshit was waiting for me there. This was in 1910 when there was only one place, that is Satewada, for lodging pilgrim devotees. After alighting from the Tonga, I was anxious to have darshan. When the great devotee Tatya Sahib Nulkar returned from masjid and said that Sai Baba was at the corner of the Vada and I should get first the primary darshan and then after bath see him at leisure. Hearing this, I ran and prostrated before Baba, and then my joy knew no bounds. I found more than what Nana Chandorkar had told me. All my senses were satisfied, and I forgot thirst and hunger. The moment I touched Sai Baba's feet, I began a new lease of life. I felt myself much obliged to those who spurred and helped me to get the darshan, and I considered them as my real relatives, and I cannot repay their debt. I only remember them and prostrate mentally before them. The peculiarity of Sai Baba's darshan, as I found it, is that by his darshan our thoughts are changed. The force of previous actions is abated, and gradually non attachment of dispassion towards worldly objects grows up. It is by the merit of actions in many past births that such darshan is got, and if only you see Sai Baba, really all the world become or assumes in the form of Sai Baba. On the first day of my arrival in Shirdi, there was a discussion between me and Bala Sahib Bhate regarding the necessity of a guru. I contended, why should we lose our freedom and submit to others? When we have to do our duty, why a guru is necessary? One must try his best and save himself. What can the guru do to a man who does nothing but sleeps indolently? Thus I pleaded free will while Mr. Bhate took up the other side, that is, destiny, and said, whatever is bound to happen must happen. Even great men have failed. Man proposes one way, but God disposes the other, contrary way. Brush aside your cleverness. Pride or egoism won't help you. This discussion, with all its pros and cons, went on for an hour or so, and as usual, no decision was arrived. We had to stop the discussion ultimately as we were exhausted. The net result of this was that I lost my peace of mind and found that unless there is a strong body consciousness and egoism, there would be no discussion. In other words, it is egoism which breeds discussion. Then, when we went to masjid with others, Baba asked Kaka Sahib Dikshit the following: what was going on in Satewada? What was the discussion about? And staring at me, Baba further added, what did this Hemadpant say? Hearing these words, I was much surprised. The masjid was at the considerable distance from Satewada, where I was staying, and the discussion was going on. How could Baba know our discussion unless he is omniscient and inner ruler of all of us? I began to think why Sai Baba should call me by the name Hemadpant. This word is correct form of Hemadri Pant. This Hemadri Pant was well-known minister of King Mahadev and Ramdev of Devgiri of the Yadav dynasty. He was very learned, good-natured and the author of good works such as Chaturvarga Chintamani and Raj Prashasti. He invented and started new methods of accounts and was the originator of Modi script. But I was quite opposite. An ignoramus and of dull, mediocre intellect. So I could not understand why the name or the title was conferred upon me. But thinking seriously upon it, I thought that the title was dart to destroy my ego, so that I should always remain meek and humble. It was also a compliment paid to me for the cleverness in the discussion. Looking to the future history, we think that Baba's word calling Mr. Dabholkar by the name Hemadpant was significant and prophetic, as we find that he looked after the management of Sai Sansthan very intelligently, kept nicely all the accounts, and was also the author of such a good work, that is Sai Satcharitra, which deals with such important and spiritual subjects as jnana, bhakti, dispassion, self surrender, and self realization. About the necessity of a guru. Hemad Pant has left no note, no memo about what Baba said regarding this subject. But Kaka Sahib Dikshit has published his notes regarding this matter. Next day, after Hemad Pant's meet with Sai Baba, Kaka Sahib went to Baba and asked whether he should leave Shirdi. Baba said yes. Then someone asked Baba where to go. Baba said, high up. Then the man said, how is the way? Baba said, there are many ways leading there. There is one way also from here, Shirdi. The way is difficult. There are tigers and wolves in the jungle on the way. I, Kaka Sahib, asked, but Baba, what if we take a guide with us? Baba answered, then there is no difficulty. The guide will take you to the straight to your destination, avoiding wolves, tigers, and ditches, etc. on the way. If there is no guide, there is a danger of being lost in the jungle or falling into ditches. Mr. Dabholkar was present on this occasion and he thought that this was the answer of Baba gave to the question whether Guru was necessity, and he thereupon took a hint that no discussion of the problem whether Man is free or bound is the only use in spiritual matters, but that, on the contrary, real Paramartha is possible only as a result of the teaching of the Guru. As it is illustrated in this chapter of original work. In the instances of a great avatars like Rama and Krishna, who had to submit themselves to their gurus, Vasistha and Sandipani, respectively, for getting self realization, and that the only virtue necessary for such progress are faith and patience. Bow to Shri Sai. Peace be to all. Shri Sai Pranam.